Wakey, wakey, rise and shine on this beautiful Friday, on this green Friday, as we're entering the weekend with a little pump as it seems. Bitcoin 65, 600, a lot of the altcoins have been bouncing really nicely this entire week. And we also see a lot of bullish news from the Interchain, a couple of fundraiser announcements, airdrop announcements, and also launches, but we're going to get into all of that. First off, also very bullish news on the macro and TradFi. PayPal now enabling US businesses to basically get into crypto, to buy, sell, and hold cryptocurrency. Remember that PayPal also has their own stablecoin called PYUSD, which just crossed $1 billion in TVL. On the other hand, we also have news from BNY. BNY Mellon got approval by the SEC to hold custody of crypto that goes beyond ETFs. And if you're wondering what that means, well, BNY Mellon is a $2 trillion asset manager. For comparison, the entire market cap of crypto is just 2.4 trillion, of which Bitcoin takes over half of that, 54% roughly, which means BNY is pretty much double the size of the entire altcoin market, just to put that into perspective, how big that actually is. Bullish signs on macro developments, also bullish signs on retail, maybe. We see Coinbase being down, and to be honest, whenever you see the bull run coming back, especially right after a brutal bear market, you see a lot of centralized exchanges, centralized platforms having downtime, having issues, also doing registration stops, right? Because they can't accommodate the inflow, right? Because they're winding a lot of services down, they're shrinking their staff, they're downsizing on their server infrastructure and all these kind of things in a bear market because there's less demand. But when the wave comes back, when the demand kicks back in, then they're overwhelmed and they need to catch up, right? This is not going overnight, so they need time to adapt to that new demand. And well, I don't know in that specific case why Coinbase was down. Could obviously also be a technical thing, but you're going to see a lot more of that, which is why I think it's important to have your infrastructure ready, to have your exchanges ready, your on and off ramps ready, to have your wallet infrastructure ready, to have your ledger ready, right? To also make sure security is always the number one most important thing in crypto. To have full custody of your seed phrase and all these kind of things, because you don't want to deal with that in the bull run. On the political stage, we also have breaking news actually. Kamala Harris for the first time using the word blockchain. Here's the exact words of Kamala Harris on AI, quantum computing, and blockchain.
So I will recommit the nation to global leadership in the sectors that will define the next century. We will invest in biomanufacturing and aerospace, remain dominant in AI and quantum computing, blockchain, and other emerging technologies.
This is an interesting change of tone, it sounds like, because just around a year ago, we saw the downfall of Silvergate Bank, which was the crypto bank pretty much. And there's now new information indicating that the government might have played a role in that. Pressure from regulators that probably caused or pushed this collapse over the finish line, because apparently Silvergate could have survived if it wasn't for pressure by regulators. And this is actually very, very concerning. We know Senator Elizabeth Warren, or how Elon Musk likes to call her, Senator Karen, she just hates crypto, right? She just hates crypto. And Silvergate was, I think, the bank that was collaborating with FTX. So that's also one of the reasons why they were so heavily affected by all this. But apparently they could have survived. And to be honest, I would not be surprised if regulators did not step in to save them and protect customers, which is kind of what they should be doing, protect end users. Instead, they did exact opposite, and that's just probably what it is. Looking into the Cosmos ecosystem, aka the Interchain price developments, we see Atom back above $5 finally, Akash back above $3, Axelar had a huge pump, 14%, above 70 cents now. Chihuahua also had a huge pump the other day, 12% up today, still down bad from obviously all-time highs, but even like earlier this year. The top gainers are Comdex, but like I said also in the last video, this is a pump with relatively low volume, thin liquidity, so I wouldn't take that for an actual pump. Stride, 24%, reclaiming the dollar mark. There's actually reasons for that. We're going to talk about this in the video later on. Humans AI, 23%, and so on and so forth. Overall, very, very green, which is nice to see. Our beloved Osmosis, 67 cents, which is also good to see, getting back to $1. But to be honest, anything below $1 in my book is insanely cheap, dirt cheap for Osmo, considering all the progress they have made over the past couple of months and all of the things that are cooking. Now, I want to start off with this amazing piece of content by Steven from DeFi Dojo and Wordgis, who is an absolute legend. You need to remember this face. This guy understands it, he gets it. And I want to share a small clip from this video of what he's saying about Cosmos, the Interchain, and the IBC economy.
You are an IBC guy. Can you explain to me what the appeal is of IBC relative to its competition?
Sure. The idea is sovereignty. Like the idea is you're an actual competent team with like a huge, big idea and you want to build it. And so then you go and you look at all these different places in which you can build, like which stack you can build on. And you go to EVM and you go to Sui and Polkadot and anywhere else. And there's no place where you have full control of your stack, where you can make all of the decisions about like block size and TPS and anything you want to do, right? So like if you're a serious protocol who is in this for the long term, you want to be able to control your entire stack. Because at any point, Vitalik can have like go on a ayahuasca trip and like have some epiphany. And then all of a sudden he can change the entire Ethereum blockchain and it may not be compatible with what you're wanting to do at all. It may actually be like the one thing that ruins the use case that you're most excited about and what you're working on. So like for me, I don't see even how you're a serious project wanting to build for more than one cycle if you're not building and controlling your entire stack. And so with IBC, in the underlying lowest part of the stack, typically you want to keep that because then it's already interoperable with like another 100 blockchains.
Now, I also made a tweet, and that's been kind of my philosophy for the past years, obviously, right? Is Cosmos is the internet of blockchains. It's all about sovereignty, like we're just saying. It's all about interoperability. It's all about these core principles. And in the end of the day, there will be a lot of coins that are actually Cosmos coins because they're built on the Cosmos SDK, they implement IBC or whatever. And they don't necessarily identify themselves or brag about being IBC, being Cosmos, right? And they don't have to, right? It's all about sovereignty, which means a sovereign team, a sovereign project that has their own focus, their own product market fit, their own vertical, and their own community, their own foundation, their own vibes, their own culture, right? This is what sovereignty means, right? It means having your own environment. And this is what Cosmos enables like no other ecosystem in all of crypto, right? And we do see a new wave of Cosmos coins that is massively outperforming the market. Sei Network, Tia, Injective, Fetch, Akash Network, Saga as well, of course. Saga having 6 airdrops already for the Saga token. If you have been playing the Saga airdrop game, watch this content, followed us here, followed on Cito, then you probably have a very, very decent Saga bag right now. And then there's a lot that are coming up, right? That all have different flavors, different verticals, or different categories that they're in, right? Berachain is all about being a next generation EVM chain, right? That also implements their own new consensus algorithm that is actually built on Comet BFT. But one component of that is also their proof of liquidity, which is basically baked in liquidity layer into the Berachain main layer. Babylon, Bitcoin staking, one of the pioneers in the Bitcoin ecosystem, massive, massive project, raised $100 million. Probably is going to launch at a multi-billion-dollar valuation. Laura, which is active in the AI space, same for Nillion, AI and privacy. Initia for rollups, Movement for an alternative VM, right? The Move VM. This is kind of the Sui and Aptos niche and vertical, right? Namada, also for privacy. And so many more that are lined up. Cosmos is dead, they say yes. Cosmos is far from dead. That's exactly what it is. And Cosmos is also now entering a new era on its flagship product, which is the Cosmos SDK, the Cosmos Software Development Kit, which is the basis, the soul, the heart and soul of the Cosmos ecosystem. And that is the framework on which you're building those interoperable and sovereign applications, right? And this new release called Olympus, that is now live, is bringing a lot of new features. One of the features of this new release is the separation of core components, which allows developers to utilize the core of the SDK independently from predefined modules. So that basically allows developers to better customize for whichever use case, whichever specific need they have. Because each of these verticals, whether it's DeFi or gaming or NFTs, they all require their own specs, their own customized specs that are tailored to this specific use case. So Olympus is basically introducing Cosmos 2.0, and we're going to see a lot of Cosmos chains upgrading to Olympus, I guess, over the coming weeks and months. Now, one of the main news for today is Stride, because the Stride token has been going through the roof as of lately, and that is because there have been some announcements on the product side of things, but also the tokenomics side of things. Starting with the product, Stride is heading towards Berachain, launching liquid staking for Berachain. Remember that Berachain has a 3-token model. They have 3 tokens, BGT, Bera, and Honey. So they have 3 tokens, Honey being the stable token, BGT the governance token, and Bera the staking token. But also BGT can also be staked, at least as far as I understand. But BGT is non-transferable, and you can only get BGT by staking Bera. And if you're wondering what the benefit of that would be, Aiden has explained that. So if you want to have simple and access yield on Berachain, you'll want to have ST-BGT. BGT and Bera are both stakeable, but BGT will probably have higher yield. It's hard to access BGT because it's non-transferable. You can only earn it by staking LP tokens in a vault. And that's also how their whole proof of liquidity mechanism. They'll have more details on exact mechanism design and differentiation very soon, but this is definitely going to be interesting. And I think we all know that Berachain is going to be really, really big. It's going to be a multi-billion-dollar chain. So being well positioned before launch and being known also in the Berachain ecosystem makes a lot of sense. Now, the second element to the Stride pump is the tokenomics adjustment proposal. The Stride Association is actually going to propose a change in tokenomics. Currently, 85% of Stride protocol fees are allocated to STRD stakers as staking rewards. However, the staking rewards have been really, really tiny, really 2 or 3%, which is why there isn't really a compelling reason, I think, in this world that we live in with those high yields and all these kind of things to really stake Stride and make a case to acquire Stride. Which is why they're proposing to, instead of distributing that to stakers, why not buy back and burn STRD? And at the current rate of revenue that this is generating, which is around 650K USD per year, this would result in roughly burning 1% of the Stride supply every single year. But this is definitely very interesting and instantaneously basically caused this pump yesterday and also today. We went slightly above $1 just a few hours before I started to record this video. And yeah, definitely an interesting pump. You can see here the staking APR super tiny. Actually, it's 1.43% and even outpaces the current inflation as per Minscam. Next up, some other big news from Akash Network, one of the OG flagship Cosmos chains that is very, very high up there this bull run. And I think it's going to do extremely, extremely well. Also one of the biggest bets in my portfolio. I think it's actually the largest position in my liquid portfolio right now. I bought a lot of AKT in the bear market around 20-25 cents. And yeah, Akash has now made a new integration with Meta's Llama 3.23b, and Winnie from Cito made a video explaining you all about that. And we also have another big software upgrade coming from Osmosis. They keep shipping, improving the chain, improving the product, improving the UX, the UI, the onboarding funnels. And this upgrade is all about, number one, integrating the taker fee revenue share mechanism, which is going to be initially used by Nomic. There was another proposal that passed 795, waiving the Bitcoin bridging fees for depositing to Osmosis, which is very, very important, and also sharing the protocol fees generated by BTC for trading activity on Osmosis. And the second one is a CosmosSDK and Comet BFT upgrade. Those are very, very interesting upgrades and news, and I think Osmo continues to be one of the most undervalued gems in Cosmos, in my books at least. And you can just see over the past 30 days, it bounced really nicely here from the 36 cent levels after this brutal final, I think, washout that we had. We actually almost went below the 2023 levels here. Just before then, we went off the leashes in mid-October of last year, just a year ago. Look at what happened here. We went from 23 cents all the way to like $2 almost on Osmosis itself. Now we bottomed out at around 36 cents here. I think this could easily do a 10x or something in the next few weeks, maybe a few months. But Osmosis, I think, definitely one of the hottest coins in the DeFi space and the Cosmos ecosystem this cycle. Rune is definitely also very, very high up there. Actually has a much larger market cap and is about to flip the Cosmos Hub and Atom again. It actually flipped it once a couple of months ago, but now it's about to flip it again. And Thorchain is just amazing. We talked about it a lot last week. We talked about it like 2 years ago, but last week specifically I explained to you the different layers and the architecture of Thorchain and what's coming, what's cooking right now. The main layer being the kind of staking, security, and liquidity layer, and then building the application layer on top with the launch of IBC and CosmWasm very, very soon, which also brings Kujira on Thorchain, which also brings Levana on Thorchain, and a lot more. So very, very interesting. Now they also implemented a new burn mechanism, which is going to decrease the Thorchain Rune tokens supply. So that's also interesting. And I think overall, a lot of these Cosmos projects have done so much refinement on their tokenomics in the bear market, on their products, of course. And I'm more confident than ever, to be honest, that Cosmos is going to have its season sooner than later. It's inevitable. It will come, right? And we're already seeing the signs of it. We're already seeing Sei making a massive move. We're already seeing Saga making massive moves. Rune outperforming the market. Fetch outperforming the market. Akash Network outperforming the market. And it just goes on and on and on. In terms of Neutron, which is also another sleeping giant, I guess, in my books at least, Neutron, the smart contract layer, the smart contract platform optimized for DeFi, secured by the Cosmos Hub, and home to Drop, which is basically Lido, liquid staking on Cosmos, and now also home to Amulet Finance. Amulet Finance officially launched on mainnet on Neutron, bringing a new self-repaying, liquidation-free loan protocol to the Cosmos ecosystem. So congratulations, Amulet Finance, for this launch, and also Neutron for having another application in your ecosystem, alongside Mars, alongside also Drop, like I said, and many, many more. Next up, another flagship Cosmos chain, which I think is going to do really, really well this cycle, which is DYDX, that made the move from Ethereum onto Cosmos just a year and a half, 2 years ago. And Phantom, the main Solana wallet, is now compatible with DYDX, which is a big, big win for DYDX itself, but also for the Interchain. Another big win is $200 million in TVL, big, big milestone achievements. Gonna give you a second to think about it. Which chain do you think that is? And the answer is Sei Network. We talked about it in the last video, the Sei DeFi ecosystem. Also strongly recommend you watching Patrick's videos, Dynamo DeFi. He's been very, very early to the Sei DeFi ecosystem and giving you tutorials about the best farms, the best point systems that are currently going on, and how you can really maximize your yield in the Sei DeFi ecosystem. And this chart is just up and to the right. It's been very low here. Obviously, this is a new chain that just launched like a year ago. But the TVL, especially as of late, has just doubled within the past 4 weeks, pretty much, from 98 million here in early September to now over 200 million. Now, as promised, we also published the Interchain news report on the Cito.zone website, so you can read everything about the most important integrations, product announcements, airdrops, upgrades, all these kind of things, partnerships, here directly on the Cito.zone site. This is your home for all news Cosmos, all the alpha, like the Saga snapshot, for example, that has happened. And you have to claim this airdrop right now. It's only 5 days left to claim the Saga airdrop. If you're not claiming that, if you're not then restaking that, you're not going to be eligible for the next round. And to be honest, I'm getting a lot of messages, even comments under the videos like, yo, I'm not eligible. Why am I not eligible? Bro, because you have to be extremely alert. You need to be extremely alert. This is very time sensitive stuff. If I put time sensitive or claim now, act fast in the thumbnail of the video, that actually means that you have to take immediate action, right? Otherwise you can't complain later if you're not doing the action steps in a timely manner. So make sure you do that. You read through also the eligibility criteria so that later on you know exactly what you did wrong if you're not qualified for the airdrop. And also unicorn emoji airdrop, we talked about this also in the last video, double stride airdrop. Like, I think a lot of people have stopped claiming the stride airdrop because the price went down. And let's assume stride would go to $4 or $5 in the next 3 months. Like, those airdrops retrospectively, if you claim them, right, they might not be that much if you claim them. But if you claim them 20 times and the price does a 10x, 20x, suddenly you're like, oh, I have a decent stride back suddenly, right? Where did that come from? And it comes because you're actively managing, actively participating and maintaining your portfolio, and you're just sticking to your game plan. Anyways, another big chain that is going to launch quite soon is going to be Initia. I think they're just weeks away from launching mainnet, and they just announced a $14 million fundraiser, Series A. Full disclosure, I'm not invested in Initia. I really like them, I really like Zon. But even for the chains that I'm invested in, like Berachain, Babylon, Sei Network as well, I say the same thing, which is basically, I want these chains, these teams, their foundations, their product, their community to undergo a full cycle, which means bull to bear, full unlock of their own token, full, I guess, redistribution of their core team, right? Because you also have to think, like, let's say Initia launches at a $2 billion FTV, right? Or Berachain, right? They will probably launch at multi-billion-dollar valuations, right? Now you have the first unlocks, especially also like core team members, right? And suddenly they have 7-8 figures of tokens, right? Like, obviously that's probably going to change the dynamic within a team, right? So after a year, after 2 years, after 3-4 years, this is why most of the cases, these crypto projects, they're restructuring the team, early team members are departing, right? And fair enough, right? That's all crypto, right? A lot of people are just also here to kind of make money, and that's part of the game, right? But that's why I'm saying, like, I would want to see these projects undergo a full redistribution, and then I think it's fair to compare with something like Atom, with something like even Ethereum, right? Those coins have been around. I mean, Ethereum has been around for like 10 years. Atom has been around for over 5 years now, and people are calling it's cooked, it's this and that is true, but it's still there, and it went through a full redistribution, a full change in leadership, a full change in direction and course, right? And I think this is also something that only time will tell. Another thing that time will tell is the Union road to mainnet is in full swing, but to be honest, it still looks like that it's going to take a while. It's going to take a couple months. There's another testnet in between now and mainnet launch, so I would assume at least 4 to 6 months until we see the Union mainnet. Switching gears to NFTs, we talked a lot about Celestine Sloth, Bad Kids over the years. One of the probably lesser talked about collections is actually After the Filter. I think we talked about it here also when the mint went live, actually minted a lot of AFT NFTs. And in fact, they just made a new all-time high. We're going to look into that. But also, they just announced Chapter 4. We talked about this. So there are some hidden Easter eggs, some hidden nuggets in this latest announcement, which is a 6-minute long video. To be honest, I think personally that ATF has probably the biggest potential from a storyline perspective as a Cosmos NFT, because it's an ongoing story, basically, right? So definitely excited to see where this is going. But I think also, this is something that requires very active maintenance, more content to be pushed out, also into other communities and those kind of things. But like I said, ETFs made a new all-time high, which is in stars, around 13,000 stars is the current floor price, which is $100. In USD terms, we're still down from the all-time high. The actual all-time high was around $500 almost here in February of this year. But it's doing relatively well for being a less talked about NFT collection. The main NFT collections are obviously the Celestine Sloth, which I also said in my last video. I finally purchased my first 2 sloths just a few days ago, a week ago or something, and also Bad Kids, right? I think those 2 are the flagship ones, and then Mad Scientists, of course, as well. So sloths are basically TIA alignment, Bad Kids, full-on Stargaze alignment, the absolute OG blue chip collection in Cosmos, and Mad Scientist is full-on Osmosis alignment. So I think those 3, and then a bonus would be After the Filter, are definitely must-haves in the Cosmos ecosystem. And then we have the new collection by Crypto Dungeon, Cosmic Quest, which is potentially also going to be giving an airdrop. I actually don't have any insights on that, but just wouldn't be surprised if that would be the case. Same for Alice as well. But yeah, there's some decent prices still, also because the stars price is extremely down. But yeah, definitely something for you to check out as well. And closing it up with NFTs and the video for today, we also have news from Fractal.fun, NFT fractionalization. You now have the first collections live. Mad Scientists, Celestine Sloth, Bad Kids are all part of this. After the Filter, not yet at least, but definitely something for you to also check out if you don't want to invest the full amount of, I mean, for Sloth it's around $3,500–4,000 at this point. Then you can also buy parts of that here through Fractal.fun.